Imagine stepping into the heart of ancient Rome, where the soft orange glow of a single, sacred flame illuminated the marble columns of the Forum, its flickering light a constant reminder of the city's divine favor and eternal destiny. This was no ordinary fire kindled for warmth or cooking, but Vesta's eternal flame, a living symbol of Rome's soul, tended by priestesses sworn to chastity and silence, whose very existence bound the fortunes of an empire to the delicate persistence of an ember. In this video, we will journey behind the heavy bronze doors of the Temple of Vesta, tracing the flame's arc from its mythic origins in Rome's founding myths to its final, tragic extinction beneath Christian rule. We will uncover how this flame shaped Roman religion, politics, and identity, and how its guardians walked the razor's edge between sacred privilege and mortal peril. If you're captivated by the hidden rituals and enduring legends that shaped the world's greatest civilization, make sure to subscribe to History Facts and Mysteries. Hit the bell icon to join our community of fellow history explorers, because here, we keep the fires of curiosity burning bright as we delve into the past's most enduring mysteries. The sacred fire and imperial ideology. At the center of Roman religion stood not a pantheon of distant deities in ivory temples, but a living hearth whose flames were believed to maintain the Pax Deorum, the peace of the gods, and thus the very well-being of the state. Vesta's fire was unique among Roman cults. It was perpetual, untouchable by common hands, and protected by taboos so severe that its extinction was feared as an omen of apocalypse. Unlike other cults that offered supplicants a temporary connection to a god for prayers and sacrifices, Vesta's flame served as the heartbeat of Rome itself, a metaphysical link between the city and its tutelary goddess. Political leaders understood its power. Triumphant generals processed past the temple to offer the first embers from conquered peoples, and magistrates swore oaths before the fire, binding themselves to Rome's fate. Origins and mythology of Vesta's flame. Long before the marble shrine graced the Forum, the fire of Vesta flickered in the wooden hut of Romulus, the city's mythical founder. Legend holds that after Romulus and Remus were suckled by the she-wolf and rescued by Faustulus, the twin sons of Mars founded a humble settlement on the Palatine Hill. To consecrate this new city, Romulus installed a fire on an altar to Vesta, an archaic Vestal fire that would guide the Romans through every rite of passage, from births to triumphs to funerals. Ancient sources attribute the establishment of the Vestal order to Numa Pompilius, Rome's second king, who institutionalized the flame within a circular temple and established 6 virgin priestesses to ensure its eternal vigilance. The goddess Vesta herself, identified with the Greek Hestia, was the personification of the hearth. Her flame symbolized home and family as well as state. These intertwined origins, founding myths, royal reform, and the divine intercession of a hearth goddess, created a religious tradition that was both deeply personal and robustly political, binding each Roman household to the welfare of the res publica through a single, perpetual spark. The Vestal Virgins. Lives, vows, and power. Chosen between the ages of 6 and 10 from patrician families, the Vestal Virgins took a 30-year vow of chastity, during which they lived within the confines of the Atrium Vestae. Their daily duties included stirring the sacred fire, fetching water from the nearby Aquae Marcia, and performing ritual cleansings of the temple. Clad in white stole and unbound hair, the only Roman matrons permitted such freedom. These priestesses enjoyed privileges unknown to other women. They could own property, make wills without male oversight, and ride in carriages through the city. Yet these freedoms came at perilous cost. If a Vestal allowed the flame to die, she faced scourging. If she broke her vow of virginity, she was buried alive in a subterranean chamber. A punishment so horrific that a single accusation could ruin lives and reputations. Through the Vestals, we see a microcosm of Roman values, honor, duty, and the ultimate sacrifice for the state. And we confront the tension between individual autonomy and collective survival. Temple of Vesta and architectural symbolism. Rising on the eastern edge of the Roman Forum, the circular Temple of Vesta broke from the rectangular norms of Roman temple design, embodying the eternal cycle of the fire itself. Its tholos form, a wooden interior ringed by 20 Corinthian columns made of Greek marble, created a dimensional interplay of light and shadow, with the open oculus in the roof allowing smoke to rise to the heavens. The temple's circular shape symbolized the unending nature of the flame, while its fleeting wooden interior, rebuilt multiple times after fires, reminded Romans of the fragility inherent in their most sacred institution. Surrounding the temple, the House of the Vestals housed private chambers, administrative offices, and a grand peristyle garden where ritual banquets took place. Each architectural element, from the choice of materials to the orientation toward the eastern sunrise, was deliberate, encoding within stone the theological and political primacy of Vesta's cult. Rituals and ceremonies surrounding the eternal flame. The daily tending of the flame was only the beginning of the Vestals' ritual calendar. Each year on the calends of March, they performed the sacred ritual of renewing the fire using flint and tinder in a secluded inner sanctum, ensuring it was never rekindled from an external spark. During the Vestalia in June, common women entered the inner temple to offer cakes and garlands, symbolically purging household hearths of impurities. On the Perilia, remnants of Rome's pastoral past were celebrated as the Vestals purified the flocks of sheep and cattle, a nod to the city's agrarian foundations. The festival of the Bona Dea, reserved exclusively for women and presided over by the Vestals and the Vestal priestess of the current Pontifex Maximus's wife, fused domestic piety with elite social networking in a ritual that men were strictly forbidden to attend. Political power, oaths, and deadly taboos. The flame of Vesta was more than a religious icon. It was the sanctifying heart of Roman law and statecraft, a crucible in which political authority was tested and sealed. When new magistrates assumed office, they were required to swear their oaths before the eternal flame, invoking its purity and endurance as guarantors of their fidelity to Rome. These vows were not mere formalities. To break an oath sworn by Vesta's fire was to risk divine wrath manifest in plague, famine, or military catastrophe. Generals who celebrated triumphs would process through the forum, bearing the first embers of their conquered foes to the temple as proof of victory and as offerings to reinforce the Pax Deorum. Senators, too, sometimes knelt before the hearth, especially during moments of profound crisis, civil wars, succession disputes, or foreign invasions, seeking the goddess's intercession in decisions that would determine the fate of millions. Trials, scandals, and punishments of the Vestals. Despite their elevated status, Vestal Virgins were never entirely immune to the political machinations swirling around the forum. On occasion, accusations of unchastity, incestum, were wielded as weapons in power struggles among Rome's elite. A single slanderous whisper could lead to the shocking spectacle of a Vestal's conviction and ritual burial alive within the Campus Celeratus, a foul ground beyond the Colline Gate where the polluted earth served as her tomb. Such was the fate of Aemilia in 115 BCE, whose trial, documented by Livy and Cicero, became a cause célèbre. Senators debated the evidence, the Pontifex Maximus presided, and the Roman populace watched in morbid fascination as the Vestal's unbound hair was twisted into a woolen band and her hands bound before her descent into the subterranean pit. Yet the Vestals could also wield their own form of power. They were protected by sacrosanctity, and assaults upon them, even by magistrates, could result in exile or death. In the imperial era, scandals continued. During Nero's reign, 2 Vestals were accused of impurity, their trials overshadowed by rumors of palace intrigue and imperial paranoia. These episodes remind us that the Vestals stood at the intersection of religion and politics, their fates reflecting both the reverence and the fear that their sacred office inspired. Decline, extinction of the flame, and Christianization. The final centuries of the Vestal order were marked by gradual erosion and political marginalization. After Theodosius I's edicts banning pagan worship in 379 CE, the Temple of Vesta lost state funding, and its priests and priestesses became increasingly isolated. Though the Christian poet Prudentius mocks the Vestals as relics of superstition, popular reverence lingered. Even Christian senators offered to help repair the temple damaged by fire in 387 CE. Yet by the reign of Honorius, the office of Pontifex Maximus was held only by the Bishop of Rome, and pagan ceremonies were outlawed. The last documented Vestal, Caelia Concordia, petitioned the Senate to restore her order's privileges in 385 CE, but her appeals fell on deaf ears. When she finally performed the rite of extinguishing the flame, she did so in private, and the temple doors were barred. Subsequent generations regarded the rite with a mixture of nostalgia and contempt, and by the early Middle Ages, the site of the Temple of Vesta became the location of Christian chapels and dwellings, its sacred fire reduced to a memory whispered by antiquarians. Yet the idea of an eternal flame lived on, inspiring medieval legends of hidden pagan rites and Renaissance revivals of classical imagery. The story of Vesta's eternal flame is the story of Rome itself, a tale of faith and fear, innovation and tradition, power and sacrifice. From its ignoble beginnings on a pastoral altar to its enshrinement in marble and its final extinguishment beneath imperial decree, the flame guided the destinies of emperors and commoners alike, binding each to a living legacy of civic unity and divine favor. The Vestal Virgins, in their white stole and bound hair, embodied the tension between mortal vulnerability and sacred duty, their lives a testament to the price of continuity in a world defined by change. Though the hearth now lies cold beneath layers of history, its glow endures in our collective imagination, reminding us that every society hinges upon symbols that both inspire and constrain. If you've been enthralled by the mysteries of Vesta's flame and the hidden rites of Rome, subscribe to History Facts and Mysteries for more journeys into the heart of the ancient world. Share this video with fellow seekers of the past, and let the embers of curiosity ignite your next adventure through history's deepest secrets.